What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to Johnny K Picks. And in this video, I'll be going over my full card picks and predictions, along with the bets that I'm looking at so far for UFC 287 Pereira versus Adesanya 2, which really should be 4, but we're not counting here. So, first thing first, please hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new or if you haven't yet. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new videos that pop up or live streams that me and Cody do throughout the week. So, been a while. So, we haven't had a video in a while. So, let's see. I don't even remember what it was supposed to be. Hold on one second. Yeah, UFC San Antonio. That's what it was. Yeah, overall it was a pretty solid card. The judges were a little crazy again. I don't know if they were as bad as they were in London, but it is what it is. So overall with my picks, I ended up going 5-5, which isn't great. But for my bets, I was one parlay leg away from a clean sweep for my bets. I only had five, so I won 4 out of 5. Ended up winning 4.14 units profit. So that makes 5 winning cards in a row. Hoping to look to keep the streak going. And on this card over here, but real quick, I know it's been a couple weeks, but I'm gonna quickly go over these as much as I can remember. Anyway, it's been a couple weeks. So, Altamirano versus Salvador, good fight to start the night off. Altamirano won all 3 rounds. I thought, or at least the 29-28. So he won unanimous decision. Um, he just had a little bit more in the tank, I think, than Salvador did in the later rounds. So good win from him. CJ Vergara versus De Silva, very crazy fight. I thought Vergara was going to lose in that first round. He got knocked down twice. He was running away in the first round, and De Silva was just chasing him and basically emptying his gas tank just to get that finish, and he couldn't do it. And then I knew in the second round that Vergara was going to win that fight because De Silva only had that one chance. So good win from Vergara, good durability, and yeah, that's just unfortunate for De Silva. He almost had it. Trevin Giles versus Preston Parsons. Very close fight. I picked Parsons. I didn't bet this fight, but I did think Giles very ever so slightly won that fight. It could have went either way. I'm not mad at the judges for this one for a split. It was that close. And you could have made an argument for any guy to win, but I think Giles just did a little bit more with the damage, if you want to say, and so he got the split win. Alexander versus Peterson. I picked Peterson. That was probably a lot of people did too, and that was a very bad pick by everyone. He did not look like he either wanted to be in there or he just had no idea what to do because Alexander looked very good on the feet. Um, he kind of shocked me. So now I have my little eye on him, and I'm going to make sure I don't do that again. But Peterson retired, so we don't have to worry about him um, not looking that great anymore. Pineda versus Lutz. Kind of surprised here a little bit, but we all knew that Pineda has the ability to get that finish, and he's very dangerous and explosive. And he looked very good in the first round, and in the second round, he got that guillotine. And Lutz did not look as good as I thought. I picked Lutz. I didn't have a bet on it, money line. I just had the under 2.5 and a hit. So that was a good win from Pineda. We'll see if that goes to a no contest here in a few months. So we'll see. Daria versus Chitty. Interesting and weird fight at the same time. I expected more out of Chitty. He just didn't want to let his hands go. I know it went to split decision, but I don't think it should have went to split decision. I think Duraev clearly won 29-28. Um, I don't think Chitty did enough. He only landed like maybe less than 10 strikes every round. In first round, he definitely lost. The last two were close, but I think he lost that fight. I think that was the right call. And kind of a weird fight from both guys. Barber versus Lee. All right. So I really thought that Lee won that fight. At least 29-28. I totally can see a 30-27 for Lee, but I said 29-28. I don't know how on earth Barber won this fight. And then one of the judges gave that Barber a 30-27, which is outrageous, and that's not even close. So that makes 2 wins that Barber has right now that she definitely did not win, and I'm gonna say it now, she did not win that fight against Maverick, everybody knows, and she did not win this fight against, Andrea Lee. So, I had the over in this fight because I knew neither girl was gonna finish each other, but that's why I'm just going with over and unders more lately because I just don't trust these judges, man. It's crazy. But I mean, I would say good win from Barber, but I don't think she won. So unfortunately, yeah, sucks for Lee. Landwehr versus Lingo. Landwehr looked amazing yet again. Um, very, very good striking, good calculations with his counters. He showed off his submission ability again with his grappling, and he's just Nate the Train. Like you got to always pick him. I know he has a fight coming up here. I don't remember who it was against offhand, but that's going to be a really it's Dan Ige, and that's going to be a very good fight. And I'm a little worried for Nate to train, but that's a big step up for him. So it's a good fight for him. He deserves it, and I hope he does well. But good fight, good win from this fight. Holly Holm versus Santos. Holm dominated. I could see the 30-26 that one judge gave. She did win 30-27. Pretty much how I thought she was going to win. She used a lot of grappling and takedowns in that fight, so that was good for her. And another judging debacle here was Corey versus Cheeto. I had Corey winning 49-46. I think Vera could have won the third round or fourth. I can't remember which one it was in between those rounds, but not mad at somebody said 50-45, but there's no way Cheeto won 48-47. Shouldn't have went to split decision. Like I said, these judges are a little crazy now. And it's really hard to bet these money lines because you can just get screwed out of your bets. So that's why you don't see a lot of money line bets for me anymore. I'm just going with the over unders, fight to start round 2, 3, stuff like that. I am still going to do those money lines from time to time, but just not as many. And then these were my bets here. And I'll scroll down a bit. Like I said, I had the Landwehr bet. It was parlayed with who was it? Oh, Manal Cop, and that fight got canceled, so it just ended up being him. Those were the only 2 money lines that I did. Then I had the under in the Lutz fight and the over with Holly Holmes that hit, over in the Salvador Altamirano Barber fight over as well, that hit. Over in the Vera fight, Vergara went inside the distance. I was sweating that bet in the first round, but it hit. And then this is the only leg that was, like I said, it was kind of a weird fight with Chidi, and that I really thought that fight wasn't going to go the distance. I thought one of them was going to be able to get one of them out in the second or third round, but it just very low volume, very slow, and that fight just did not go the way I thought it was. So I ended up losing that one, which is fine. Like I said, 4.14 units profit, pretty good. And yeah, 5 winning cards in a row. So we'll keep it going here. And let's get to my picks and predictions for UFC 287. So we'll go down to the bottom. The only really crazy thing, I guess, if you want to say for the canceled bouts was um Kia Chia, ooh, I can't even say his name, Michael, and then Lee. That fight's canceled now. I don't know if they're going to find a replacement for Michael, but we'll see. And then the short notice fight for Ogden coming up here. So let's go to the first one here, which is going to be Sam Hughes versus Jacqueline Amir or Amorum. Sorry, I said that wrong. Sheesh, I knew I was saying it wrong. Let's see. Sam Hughes is 7-5, 30 years old, 5'5", with a 64.5-inch reach. And Jacqueline is 6-0, 27 years old, 5'3", with a 67.5-inch reach. Looks like they switched up the order. So let me get to this fight real quick. Okay. So Hughes, very tough. She's an okay striker. She got good cardio for 3 rounds. She has shown some good wrestling in her past few fights and grappling. Has some good ground and pound as well. She is hittable on the feet, which is a little worrisome at times, and her takedown defense isn't really that great either. So, but she has pretty decent takedowns lately, anyways. And Jacqueline, she's making her UFC debut, and she's a very good grappler with very good submissions. Her takedowns are pretty good. She has good wrestling. Her striking is just okay, technical wise. But she does have really good power in her hands, and when she lands, and she leaves some marks on people's faces. So the only little red flag with me with pretty much any UFC debutante is one, they're making their UFC debut. This is a different level, And two, all of Jacqueline's wins, all six of them, have come in the first round. So we don't know what she's going to look like after the first round, maybe the second or in a second or third round. So that's a little worrisome. But watching all the tape with all that being said, I'm definitely going to go with Jacqueline here. I think she's just the more dangerous fighter on the feet, and she's definitely going to be more dangerous on the mat. And for me, Hughes's chance to win is literally just maybe try to set a good pace on her in the first round, survive that round, keep that pace up again, survive the second round. And I do think if that happens, and I know it's a lot, she could potentially win in the third round or decision if she does enough in the second round, probably. Because I think Jacqueline's going to win the first round no matter what. If she gets finished in there, Sam, or if Jacqueline just doesn't get the finish. But with my pick, I'm gonna go with Jacqueline to win. I'm gonna say she does get that submission in the first or second round. For my bets, if I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the unders. I do like Jacqueline inside the distance. That prop hasn't come out yet, but I will be looking at that. Maybe by submission too, but I think if inside the distance not is not too crazy, that might be the play just in case, because I don't see Hughes finishing Jacqueline. But the under isn't bad. It's at plus money too, so that's something to look at too. Or fight doesn't go the distance if you want to be a little bit safer. Let's see. Next fight we have is gonna be Steve Garcia. Let me get to it here. Versus Shaylin Nerdumbecky. Garcia is 13 and 5, 30 years old, 6 foot with a 73-inch reach. And Nerdum Becky is 39 and 10, 28 years old, 5'8 with a 69-inch reach. So let me get to that one. Like I said, they switched up all these fights. Where are you? Sorry, guys. Looking for it here. Here we are. Okay, so Garcia is a solid striker. He's got good power in his hands. He can be a little wild and crazy at times, a little aggressive, if you want to say. But he does have good grappling. His wrestling is okay. When he is too aggressive and he comes rushing forward, he does get clipped a lot. So it's something to think about. And he leaves himself open to counters. And he's been knocked down a couple times. And even in the Chase Hooper fight, Chase Hooper landed a couple good shots, and he was bleeding from the nose, and Chase Hooper's not a striker at all, even though Chase Hooper looked like he didn't know what to do in there when he was fighting Steve Garcia. I think he got rocked like 4 times, which was crazy, but, Becky, he's a very good grappler, he's very strong, he's got good wrestling, good takedowns. His takedown defense isn't the greatest, his striking is just okay, but he does have very good power in his hands when he lands, but he could be low volume, or he is low volume on the feet as well. So he's more so a grappler wrestler. He wants to get this fight to the mat. Um, this is an interesting fight, and I've seen some people already on Twitter. They're on Garcia with that plus money, which I could see that. This fight should be lined a little bit closer than it is. Um, Garcia's gonna have the advantage on the feet for sure, but I think Becky's gonna have the advantage on the mat with the grappling and the wrestling. Um, but the way that Garcia pushes forward really worries me. I think that's going to leave a lot of opportunities for Becky to either land a good counter and maybe knock him out, or get a well-timed takedown and then just control Garcia from there. So with my pick though, I'm going to go with Becky to get it done. Both guys are pretty tough, and like I said, I know Garcia's been rocked a couple times, but I just don't think Becky has the technical striking enough I mean, he can get lucky with one of his wild overhands and get a knockout here, but I do see a lot of grappling happening in this fight. Both guys, like I said, are very tough. I do think this is going to go to decision, actually. So I'm going to say Becky wins by decision. For my bets, I'm not very confident and the over unders here. I can see it go under. I can see it go over. I don't want to pay the price for Becky's money line. I'm not too confident. So for me, I think it's dog or pass. I'm probably just gonna stay away altogether because I think this is just gonna be a weird one of those weird fights. All right, next one is gonna be Trey Ogden versus Inicio Bahamondes. Let me get down there. Trey Ogden is 16 and 5, 33 years old, 5'11". Sorry, guys, gotta get this thing out of here. Oop, well, it's there now. 5'11" with a 72-inch reach, and Bahamondes is 13 and 4, 25 years old, 6'3", with a 75-inch reach. So, yeah, I gotta get this thing out of here. Bugging me. Oh, now I knocked it out. There we go. All right. Sorry, having some tough issues today. Let me get to the fight. Like I said, they switched all these around. And I think there it is. Yes. Okay. So Ogden is taking this fight on short notice. He's a well-rounded guy. He's got okay striking, good power in his hands, but he's more so a grappler, which I think he's the better grappler than he is a striker. His takedowns aren't the greatest, but he does have very good submissions. And Bahamondes is a solid striker with good power. He's going to have the reach advantage, about 3 inches, and he's going to be have the height as well. Very good kicks. He's very tough and durable. He does have some sneaky submissions and grappling, but he's mainly going to be a striker first. He wants us to keep this fight on the feet. He throws a lot of volume, has good cardio, and solid takedown defense as well. So I'm going to go with Baja Mendez here. He's definitely going to be the better striker. And I know Ogden was supposed to fight Torres at UFC's San Antonio, but I think Bahamondes is actually the better version of Torres. I think he's going to be a tougher task, and Ogden's taking this fight on short notice too. So I just think there's a lot of stuff that's not, working out in Ogden's favor here. And I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. I think he's very solid, but I really like Bahamondes to win this fight. Um, Plus, maybe if Ogden tries to take this fight to the mat, he leaves his neck open and or neck out there, and then, Bahamondes gets, like, a submission, like a guillotine, or he's done that before, or a Darce choke, something like that, so, I'm gonna say this fight does go to decision. Ogden's never been KO'd in his career. He mainly loses by submission or decision. So, if Bahamondes gets the submission, then he's gonna win, or decision. So, I'm gonna say by decision. With my bets, though, I might look at the over here. Money line for Bahamondes. I know it says -290, which isn't too bad, actually, to put in a parlay. On my sports book, I don't think it's out yet, so I don't know what mine says. So Baja mine is by decision. That's what I would do. Next one is gonna be Cynthia Cavillo versus Lupi Godinez. Let's see. Cavillo is 9'5" and 1, 35 years old, 5'4", with a 64-inch reach. Godinez is 8 and 3, 29 years old, 5'2", with a 61-inch reach. So let me find this one. Okay, so Velo, she's well-rounded. She's got decent striking, good wrestling. She can be a little volume at times, and also she can be hittable on the feet. But she does have solid takedown defense. She is dropping down from flyweight. A lot of her fights have been at flyweight, so we'll see what happens there. I don't know if she's going to be able to make the weight. It's always something to think about. I think when I looked in her last 5 or 6 fights, they were all at flyweight. So she's not like a in betweener where she's bouncing up and down. She's been at flyweight for a while, and she's 35 years old, and she's dropping 10 pounds. So it could be a difference here. Godinez, very strong wrestler with really good takedowns. Her striking is just okay, but it has been improving in her fights. She has good cardio and a good pace for 3 rounds, especially if she wants to wrestle for all 3 rounds. She has good pace. But I'll say it now, Loopy broke my heart in her last fight against Angela Hill, and I can't get that out of my head. She just didn't attempt any takedowns at all against Angela Hill, and that's just crazy to me. So, I'm not gonna hold it against her this fight because it's a completely different fighter, and I know. But with all that being said, I'm still gonna pick Loopy. I think she's the better fighter. She's definitely gonna be the better wrestler, and I think she'll be stronger. She's gonna have the better cardio as well. Um, I just hope she actually implements those takedowns and has a take like a wrestle heavy game plan because that's how she's gonna win her fights. She's not super dangerous on the feet, so she's not gonna get a lot of knockouts. She does have some good, submissions and grappling, but she's just gonna grind on you on the mat. She's gonna wear you down with the takedowns and then just win a pretty comfortable decision. So that's how I see it playing out. I think Loopy will win by decision. I just hope she doesn't break my heart again. I'm not gonna bet the money line here unless it gets closer to 200, minus 200, then I might. Um, for the bets though, I do like the overs. I think that's very safe. and that's probably where I would only bet if I was I'm probably gonna bet the over, maybe spike to start round 3, but that's the safest bet here. Next one we got is gonna be Gerald Mearshart versus Joseph Pfeiffer. Mearshart, 35 and 15, 35 years old, 6'1", with a 77.5-inch reach. And Pfeiffer is 10 and 2, 26 years old, 6'2", with a 75-inch reach. Let me find this one. Oh man, they moved all of these around. Okay. So Mearshart is a very good grappler with very good submissions. His striking is just okay. He does have some power in his hands, but he's more dangerous on the mat. His wrestling and takedowns aren't really amazing. He does have to work for them if he does shoot for them. Solid cardio, and he's lost in his 15 fights. He's lost 11 of them by finish, and a lot of them have been by submission. And I hasn't been by knockout. I think 3 of the 11 have been by knockout. So he does have a pretty decent chin, and I know he lost to Chimaev really early, and then another fight after that. But he has a pretty solid chin. And Piper, he's a very good striker with tons of power. He does have good wrestling and grappling when he uses it, but we haven't really seen it too much. He's got good pressure, good pace, solid cardio, and pretty good takedown defense. So I think he'll be able to stuff the majority of Gerald's takedowns. So I think this fight's going to mainly play out on the feet. And since that's going to happen, I'm going to pick Piper. I think he's more dangerous on the feet. I think he can get a knockout event, or maybe potentially. Gerald's going to have the experience factor for sure, which that's going to play a pretty big part in this fight too. But I think, man, Heifer is just really, really dangerous, and I think the only way that Gerald's going to win this fight is if maybe he cracks Piper and gets a quick guillotine, or somehow gets a takedown. If Piper is like gassed out in the second or third round, and maybe he gets some kind of submission. But other than that, I'm gonna go with Piper. I think he gets him out of there, maybe in the first or second round by knockout. And for my bets, I'm gonna, Piper money line, Piper knockout. The under, I think it's set at 1.5, so maybe the under 2.5 to be safe. A long shot sprinkle bet though is GM3 finishes a lot of his fights in the third round. So maybe Gerald Mearshart by sub in the third round, maybe just finish in the third round. I think that's a good sprinkle bet. Because I think if this fight gets to the third round, Gerald has a very good chance to get a win, or a submission win, anyways. Next one we got is the People's Main Event: Chris Barnett versus Chase Sherman. Barnett is 23 and 8, 36 years old, 5'9", with a 75-inch reach. Sherman is 16 and 11, 33 years old, 6'4", with a 78-inch reach. All right, let's find this one. Here we are. Barnett, he's actually a pretty good striker. He has very impressive spinning kicks for a man his size. He's very short and wide, if you want to say, to put it nicely. His boxing, his hands aren't really the greatest. He's always the smaller fighter, so he has, he's fighting guys that are like 6 inches taller than him at least. So he throws a lot of wild overhands hoping to land, but he does have good power when he does land. And as most heavyweights are, he kind of slows down as the fight goes on. So something to think about. Sherman is a solid boxer. He has very good volume. He has good leg kicks as well. He likes to push forward. Solid chin, but he is very, very hittable too. But it's going to be hard for Barnett to hit him in the face because of the disadvantage and the height disadvantage. But like I said, this is the people's main event. This is going to be a fun fight for everybody to see and watch. So I know a lot of people are going to be on Barnett. He's a fan favorite, but I got to go with Sherman. I think he's just going to be the better striker on the feet. Sherman doesn't have to worry about any grappling, and that's his biggest weakness other than getting hit. And Barnett's technical striking, like I said, is just isn't there. But maybe Barnett can land one of those spinning back kicks, and Sherman just doesn't pay attention at one point and gets knocked out. But I'm going to go with Sherman to win. I think he does get a late knockout, maybe late second or third round knockout. Um, Neither of these guys really get a lot of first round knockouts, so I think this fight will go maybe over 1.5. I think the line is set at 2.5, so that one's a little tricky. But give me Sherman to win by knockout. I'd say late second or third round for bets. Other than like maybe the over 1.5 or fight to start round two, I would just stay away unless you want to take a shot on Barnett to win. But other than that, I think it's just kind of stay away and watch the fight. Next one we got is Michelle Waterson Gomez versus Luana Pinheiro. Watterson is 18 and 10, 37 years old now, 5'3" with a 62-inch reach. And Luana is 10 and 1, 29 years old, 5'4" with a 62-inch reach. So let me get there real quick. Michelle is a very good striker. She's got very good kicks. She does have wrestling in her pocket if she wants to use it, and she has used it a couple times here and there. She can be hittable at sometimes. It just depends on how technical her opponent is, but she's very tough. She's got very good cardio, and she's fought very good competition. But most of the time, that when she's fighting that next step up, she doesn't win. So she is fighting the better competition, but she's not beating that good competition, if that makes sense. Luana is a solid striker as well. She has got very good power. She's got good takedowns and grappling, very dangerous submissions. But she can slow down as the fight goes on a little bit. And like I said, she's got a pretty decent amount of submissions. And this is a tough one to predict for me. And for what when it comes down to it, for me, it's Michelle's experience versus Luana's potential. And I'm leaning Michelle here still because I think she's gonna be able to outstrike Luana on the feet. And I don't think Luana's gonna be able to take down Watterson as much as maybe people think. And then like I said, what worries me a little bit in Luana fights is she does kind of slow down as the fight goes on, and Michelle seems to get stronger as the fight goes on. But Michelle has been submitted a few times in her career too, so that's a little scary too. So another thing too, Luana's performances against Sam Hughes and Marcos, not the greatest. I'm not gonna lie. She should have dominated them and maybe probably finished both of them, but I know she won unanimous decision against Hughes, and that whole Marcos fight was just weird. So those are 2, I don't wanna say bottom of the barrel people that she's fought in the UFC, but they're pretty low down there, and Michelle's fought the upper tier cream of the crop. So, give me Michelle here. I think she outstrikes Luana for a 29-28 decision. For the bets, I like the over a lot. Well, not the o maybe not a lot. I like the over. I might not play it, maybe fight to start round 2 or 3. Um, Maybe Michelle money line if you're pretty confident. I'm not super confident that she wins. I think the line is appropriate. That's where it should be lined. So you're not really getting a ton of value, but I do think she edges it out. It's going to be a very close fight. All right. Next one is going to be a fun one here. Let me get to it. Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris Curtis. This is going to be probably MMA Twitter's back and forth debate of the week. Gastelum is 17 and 8, 31 years old, 5'9", with a 71.5-inch reach. Curtis is 30 and 9, 35 years old, 5'10", with a 75-inch or 75.5-inch reach. So he's going to have a pretty good reach advantage here. Gastelum is a well-rounded fighter. He's got solid striking and power. He's got pretty good wrestling. He's got a good chin on him. He does get rocked, but he gets right back up. He just recovers very quick, so he doesn't get, put out cold. I know he's 1-5 in his last 6 fights, but he's fought really good guys in those 5 losses, like top of the tier middleweight fighters. So and also in a lot of those fights too that he lost, that he's come in on short notice. But the red flag for me is just the activity. Like he hasn't really fought in about a year and a half. I think that was his last fight. He just got injured and he was supposed to fight in January. He got injured then. So I don't know what exactly he's going to look like. So it's always something to look at for him, and that's like, look at him on the scale and see what he looks like. If he looks like lately Gastelum, it's not a good look. So I don't know. He just looks weird on the scales, if that makes sense. Chris Curtis, though, solid boxer with good power. He's got very good counters, very good leg kicks. He works the body very well, which I always like to see fighters do. He's got good cardio, very good takedown defense. He's very defensive, almost to a fault, because he can be very low volume at times. And sometimes he does get frustrated easily in the cage. You saw it in the Jack Hermanson fight, you could tell he was just frustrated, and he and it kinda, like, took him out of the fight, and he just did not look good that whole fight, which I'm not gonna hold it too much against him. He did take that fight on short notice too, so this is gonna be a very, very good fight, and it's very interesting to see everyone's, predictions and picks and stuff for this one. I don't blame anybody for picking Gastelum here, at especially if you got, like, plus 150 odds or whatever it was. That's a very, very good bet, because I think this is a coin flip fight. But I just can't get behind Gastelum. I don't know why. Like, I'm not saying Chris Curtis is the greatest, but I think he can do typical Chris Curtis fight here and win this fight. Um, I just think with his takedown defense, it's gonna be standing at most, or most of the fight. Gastelum's not gonna be able to get those takedowns as easy. And if that's the case, if it's gonna be a boxing fight, then give me Chris Curtis here. I like it a lot. Um, Maybe Kelvin wins the first round, like, and then Curtis takes over after that, but I'm gonna say Curtis wins this one. It's gonna be a close decision, but he's the underdog now at plus 105. So if that line keeps dropping to like maybe plus 125, like I might jump on that, but I'm looking at it throughout the week. I like the over as well. Both guys are very tough, haven't been finished in forever. Um, so the overs are great. Money line either way, however you like it, is a good bet, because this is a coin flip fight. So if you get to pick them, I mean, whoever, if you're confident in one of those picks, then go for it. Let's see. Next one is going to be on the main card: Rojas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. Rojas Jr. is 7-0. 18 years old. Wow. 5'9" with a 67-inch reach. And Christian Rodriguez is 8-1, 25 years old, 5'7", with a 71-inch reach. So let me find this one. Okay, so Rojas Jr. is an amazing grappler with really good submissions, very good takedowns in wrestling. Striking is still a work in progress. He's not the greatest with that yet, but he's 18 years old. Like, he grew up fighting and doing and just grappling more so than striking. But it's a work in progress. He's getting a little better. Good cardio. He's got good pace. He's very quick on his feet with his takedowns. He can shoot from like across the whole cage and get that takedown. He's pretty strong for his age, actually. Like, I'm not saying he ragdolls all his fighters, but he can get those takedowns and look impressive doing it. Rodriguez is very well rounded. He's very good. Um, Good prospect, solid striking with some decent power in his hands. He's got good grappling. He's very tough. And but the one thing about this fight is his takedown defense is not that great. And I know he fought Jonathan Pierce up a weight class, and Jonathan Pierce was way bigger than him. But also, Rojas is Junior's wrestling is way better than Jonathan Pierce's. So I know Rojas Jr. is gonna be a little bit bigger than him too. So to me, that's where this is the fight. Like, it's gonna be Rojas's grappling and wrestling versus Rodriguez's takedown defense and striking. And I'm gonna go with Raul to win this one. It's gonna be a very fun fight. Just his ability to wrestle and get those takedowns and just keep his opponents down there. He's always looking for the submission. He goes from position to position. He doesn't just stand in like or stay in half guard or full guard, or you know what I mean, like, or on his back. He transitions to each position to get that submission. So I really like that about him. Could he make a young, stupid mistake? Sure, he's 18 years old, but I'm going to count on him to get the grappling done. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Christian because, like I said, Jonathan Pierce wasn't able to do that, and he's a pretty good grappler once he gets you on the mat. So I'm gonna say by decision, actually. And I think Roas Jr. money line's pretty safe for a parlay. Maybe sub or decision bet. Maybe the overs. I think it's set at 2.5, but that's a little risky. I would just maybe stick with the money line here. Or if you like the dog, I mean, good shot. I mean, you could try to fade Raul right now, but I don't think this is the fight to fade him in. So give me Raul to win by decision. Let's move on up to the next one here, which is going to be, if I can find it, Kevin Holland versus Santiago Panzanibio. Kevin Holland is 23 and 9, 30 years old, 6'3" with an 81-inch reach. And Ponzinibbio is 29 and 6, 36 years old, 6 foot with a 73-inch reach. Let me get there. So Holland is a solid striker. He's got very good power in his hands, very sneaky grappling and submissions. If this fight does go on the mat, doesn't have amazing wrestling, but he did show against Wonder Boy that he can get the takedowns. His takedown defense isn't great at all, but luckily in this fight, he doesn't have to worry too much about Ponzinibbio wrestling, and very tough and solid cardio as well. I think he broke his hand in the Wonder Boy fight, and he toughed it out as long as he could. And unfortunately, he did get he had to stop and get finished, but reminder, it was because he broke his hand, so it wasn't because he got knocked out cold or anything. Ponzinibbio, though, he's a very solid striker himself with good power. He's going to be a little bit more technical than Kevin Holland, but he's also more hittable as well. So, and like I said, he doesn't really grapple or wrestle that much, but and he's also getting up there in age. In his last fight against Morono, he was losing that whole fight, and Morono took that fight on short notice, and he got very, very lucky in the 3rd round getting that knockout. I just think Morono just had no gas, and Ponzinibbio took advantage of it and, got himself a knockout win. So he lost those 2 rounds, though, very clearly, and, I like Holland a lot in this fight, actually. I did pick him against Wonder Boy, but Wonder Boy is always tricky fight for anybody unless you're a really good grappler. Um, The Ponzinibbio is no Wonder Boy at all. Like, I'd pick Wonder Boy if, Wonder Boy and Ponzinibbio fought, I would pick Wonder Boy all day. I think Holland will land more strikes than Ponzinibbio. I think he'll even mix in maybe he might mix in some takedowns too here and there, like he did against Wonder Boy, like I said. So, Ponzinibbio does like to rush forward a little bit, and maybe Holland can, catch him with one of those long, straight right hands where he has a lot of power and he knocks out a lot of guys like that. And maybe get like a sneaky Darce choke or something, if like a club and sub. But with my pick, I'm gonna say Holland gets it done in the 2nd round. I'm gonna say by knockout. It could be by a club and sub too, because he has done that too a couple times. So I would say finish in the 2nd round. I just think Ponzinibbio is trending down a little bit, and unfortunately, it sucks to see fighters do that. He's 36 years old right now, but this is a tough fight for him. And with the bets, maybe look at the under. Kevin money line inside the distance kind of bets. Maybe not the under though. I think the only finish here is going to be is Kevin Holland finish. So I think the best bet would be Kevin Holland money line or inside the distance. And if you want to throw some dice on submission, like a club and sub, there you go. All right, let's get to the next one. This is going to be a very, 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 very fun fight. Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. Font is 19 and 6, 35 years old, 5'8" with a 71.5-inch reach. Yanez is 16 and 3, 29 years old, 5'7" with a 70-inch reach. All right. So both these guys are very, very, very similar. Font's a very good striker. He's got quick hands, quick boxing. He's got a very good jab. He doesn't really have too much power though. He throws a ton of volume. He always pushes forward, keeps his opponents on the back foot. He can be hittable though, and countered at times. Takedown defense is decent, but I don't know if Giannis is going to shoot for takedowns. But Giannis, he's a very good striker as well. He's got very quick hands, good boxing, very good counters, has KO power. He's very tough. He can be hittable as well. He leaves himself open. for counters as well. He throws a ton of volume just like Font, but I think Giannis has more of a killer instinct, if you want to say, than Font. Not saying Font doesn't have killer instinct, but I think Giannis has like a just a little bit more of a killer instinct. It's just something I just picked up when I was watching some of the fights. But as I said, this is probably going to be one of the best fights of the night, and I'm very interested to see how this plays out because both guys are like the same exact style, same exact, just a couple like my little minor differences between these guys. But I got to go with the younger fighter here, who I do think is a little more dangerous, and that's Yanez. I think he has a chance to get the knockout maybe later in the fight. I know Font's never been knocked out, but Font just came off that Vera fight where he got knocked down like 3 I think 3 times, and his face was all bruised up and swelling throughout that whole fight, and I know Vera hits like a truck, but Giannis is right up there too. He's got good power in his hands, and, it only takes one, like, quick counter that Font's not seeing, and that's gonna be good night. So, I'm gonna say Giannis does win by decision, though. I think both guys are super tough. They're gonna last. It's gonna be a good striking, good boxing match here. And but just Giannis is gonna land the better strikes. I think he might even knock down Font once. So I think Giannis will win by decision 29-28. Bets, maybe the over might be a little sneaky. Money line for Giannis, money line for Font. This is a very close fight too. I think the line's appropriate. Maybe the value is a little bit on Font, but man, it's pretty close. I think it's pretty good line set there. But maybe this is one just to stay away and watch, unless you're really confident on one of these money lines. All right, co-main event: Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. Burns is 21 and 5, 36 years old, 5'10 with a 71-inch reach. Masvidal is 35 and 16, 38 years old, 5'11 with a 74-inch reach. So, Burns is a very well-rounded fighter. Very good grappler with great submissions. His takedowns are pretty good. He has improved his striking throughout the years, and he's got good power in his hands as well. Very good technical striking. Very tough, durable, and he likes to brawl it out, as you saw in the Chimaev fight. That was one of the best fights I've seen in a while. I always remember that one. Masvidal, he's also well-rounded as well, but he's mainly a striker. He's got good power, good elbows and knees and like all that good stuff. Solid takedown defense. And I know in his last few fights, he's basically only fought wrestlers. So for his takedown defense is pretty solid. He can wrestle, but he probably won't this fight. And he's very tough as well. He's hard to get out of there. I think he's only been knocked out once in his career, and that was to Usman. And he's been submitted like I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, something crazy. He's only been submitted like once or twice, so he's very tough. But in this fight, the line, I don't think Burns is gonna look like he's a -500 favorite. I am picking Burns though, but that line is a little wide for me. Um, and I'm not completely counting out Masvidal. If Masvidal can keep this fight on the feet and make this a boxing match or a striking match, I think it's gonna be close, and it could end up being like a fight of the night candidate, kind of like the Chimaev Burns fight. But I just think Burns has a little bit more weapons in his pocket that he can use. He can use the grappling, he can use wrestling, if he needs to. He's got good striking too. I think he can hang with Jorge for sure. And maybe Burns eventually can get those takedowns later in the fight when Masvidal slows down. Maybe after the first round, he starts going for grappling and wrestling, depending on what happens in the first. So, with my pick, I'm going to go with Burns to win. I'm going to say he wins by decision. Both guys are very tough, like I said. Bets, I think Burns is a safe parlay piece, even though I don't agree with the line. Maybe the over is a sneaky over to look at. Fight to start like round 2 or 3 would be good. And if you're confident and you want to take a shot on Masvidal, I think not a bad play at all. So something to think about. Oh, another one too for that one is maybe Burns like a submission would be like a sneaky one too. All right. Main event time here. Pereira versus Izzy. Pereira is 7-1, 35 years old, 6'4 with an 80-inch reach. Adesanya is 23 and 2, 33 years old, 6'4 with an inch reach. I do know that Pereira is bigger than Izzy, so I don't know why they both say 6 foot. Because I think Pereira is about 2 inches taller, so maybe Pereira is 6'6". I don't know. Either way, just want to throw that out there. Both guys are amazing kickboxers. Like they're the cream of the crop, in the kickboxing world, if you want to say. Pereira does have tons of power, a very deadly left hook. He's got good kicks. He can leave his head up there at times, and he can get cracked when he does that. But he's very durable and tough, very strong as well. He showed some solid takedown defense in his last fight against Adesanya, and good get up ability, good grappling defense as well. Good cardio for 5 rounds. He was slowing down as the fight went on in that fight, but he held that power all 5 rounds. So that's something to think about. And Adesanya, amazing kickboxer, like I said, he's got pretty decent power, good counters, good kicks, especially leg kicks, very fast hands with a good jab, good cardio. He showed a little bit of wrestling in that last fight against Pereira, and he's got good cardio as well. He's pretty durable too. I know he got knocked out, but other than that, I mean, I've never really seen Izzy like that. Like Pereira just has that power to do that. So before I give you my pick, though, I will say this: I picked Pereira in the last fight because I really feel like Pereira is the only guy that matches up perfectly with Izzy. He's just as big. Actually, I think he's a little bit bigger. They're both kickboxers. Pereira's beat him 3 times now. At that time, it was two, and he's got more power. And Izzy's going to have to fight a perfect fight yet again to win. And he was doing very well in the last fight until he wasn't, and he lost. So I think this is going to be kind of the same fight. And actually, I think Pereira is going to look a little bit better than last fight because he's going to have more time to um enhance himself in certain areas where because he's still new to MMA. Like this is only going to be his ninth MMA fight. I know he's 35 years old, and usually you don't see 35-year-olds improve like he's been improving, but he's so young or so new to this MMA. I think he's going to look better than he did last time, and that's not a good sign or a good thing for Izzy. So, um, give me Pereira to win. I'm gonna say he gets a knockout in the third or fourth round. It's not gonna be in the fifth round this time. I think it's gonna be in the third or fourth round. Maybe Pereira loses the first couple rounds, but I think he's gonna look better than he did. I don't and this is just a gut feeling going for it again. And also you gotta look at this intangible factors here. Like this is the third time that Izzy lost to him, and this is like his bugaboo fighter that he just can't beat. Same thing with Whitaker and Izzy. Whitaker cannot beat Izzy. So it's always going to be in the back of his mind, especially if something just doesn't go to plan per se. That's going to be brought up in the back of his mind, and he's going to think about this while he's fighting, and that's probably not going to be a good thing. And Pereira has all the confidence in the world. He can beat Izzy. He's the only person that's been beating Izzy. So give me Pereira to win by knockout again. I think he gets it done. Pereira money line's a good bet. I think by knockout's a good bet. I don't. You can, if you want to get crazy and do Pereira by decision, that's not really that bad. But if I was going to say who's someone going to win by decision, it's going to be Izzy because I think that's his only path to victory. Even though he did wobble Pereira in the first round, I believe in the last fight. I just don't see that happening again this time. So give me Pereira knockout third or fourth round. But all right, guys, those were my picks and predictions for UFC 287. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And on your way out, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Be sure to come by Blood Money MMA's channel this week on Thursday. We're going to be doing our live show then at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely check us out then. And yeah, I hope everybody enjoys the fights this weekend. And until next time.